before we start the video, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps the channel grow. So, let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to spend a little time with me, your boy KT. Today we are continuing on in our NFL standings prediction videos. Today we are moving on from the AFC and focusing in on the NFC East. This is a division that is kind of complicated after the last team is graded. There are 3 teams in this division that can all win the division, and I think I have it down. I think I have a pretty good prediction. I think, it's a little bit more obvious than people think, but at the same time, this is a tough division. A lot of teams in the top 3 improved, so we're going to go through that all in this video. But before I start the video, I just want to let you guys know that this is, very early. Things can change. This is just my personal opinion, so you might have some differences down in the comment section, so don't be angry with me if I said something about your team that you may not have enjoyed so much. But anyway, we're going to do this like we've always done it. We're going to go from worst to first. We're going to start with our worst team and work our way up to our best team in this division. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the last team in the NFC East. And at number 4, we have the New York Giants going 4-13 on the season. I have them going 2-4 against the division, 4-8 against the conference, 3-5 at home, 1-8 away, 3-11 against winning teams, 1-2 against losing teams, and 2-9 against playoff teams. The main thing for the New York Giants is they needed a quarterback this offseason. While it wasn't the moves that I agreed with, going out and getting Russell Wilson, I think is a much bigger upgrade than Daniel Jones. They also went out and signed Jameis Winston to be their second string quarterback. They also drafted Jackson Dart in this year's draft to be their quarterback of the future. Hopefully, they traded up to take him. We'll see. But the main thing with this New York Giants team is they really revamped their defensive line even more, picking Abdul Carter at pick number 3 this year, already adding him to a dominant defensive line that includes Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau. They got a lot of contributors on that defensive line. That pass rush for the New York Giants is going to be an absolute monstrous situation for other teams. They got some good enough secondary. I like Deontay Banks. I like Javon Holland to be their free safety. The main thing is their offense, man. I want to see how their offense looks this year. Of course, it's probably going to be a sophomore breakout receiver in Malik Neighbors, who's already a star in his first year. We'll see what steps he's taken to get better. Other than Malik Neighbors, I'm a little bit worried about what he has around him. Wan'Dale Robinson is a very talented young wide receiver, but can never stay healthy. Same thing with Darius Slayton. I'm a little suspicious about their tight end position as well. I think their offensive line is a couple injuries going back to what it was last year. And of course, their running game has to get a little bit better as well. I do like Cam Scatterbo out of Arizona State. Maybe he could take over that running back 1 role from Tyrone Tracy Jr. I like Scatterbo, big, powerful, small but powerful, kind of like a little bowling ball who runs out there. But for the New York Giants, I just don't think their quarterback position is up to par with some of the other quarterbacks in this division. Couple that with the fact that they have the hardest strength of schedule in the National Football League. And I don't think I have them winning many games. They start the year with Washington, Dallas, and Kansas City. They finally see a winnable game in Week 5, and that's not until after they play the Chargers in Week 4. They don't have many swing games on their schedule. I think with the way this team is, they're kind of rebuilding. They're waiting to see, if they can develop Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston are basically stopgaps just to, develop Jackson Dart. While they continue to play, they can develop him, give him some experience, let him take some reps in practice. Maybe if some unforeseen things happen, like Russell Wilson gets hurt and they don't trust Jameis Winston, maybe you see Dart thrown in there, but I don't think so. I just think this New York Giants team is a lot of pieces away, especially on their receiving core, to being a better team in this division. And of course, their offensive line could be a little bit better as well. I still think that their depth can be a little bit better as well. But, 4-13, I got them going 4-13. It's hard for a losing team to just turn into this winning team without having a clear-cut quarterback number one. I don't think that Russell Wilson is going to be winning them a lot of games, so I got them going 4-13 on the year. This is the only obvious pick that I have in this division, as the other three teams in this division, Cowboys, Commanders, and Eagles, are all kind of complicated in their own way. But while I think the Giants have a very bright future ahead of them, I have them only winning 4 games this year, so that is what it is. All right, this is the team that's going to get people mad a lot. At number 3, I have the Dallas Cowboys going 9-8 in the division, finishing number 3 in the division. I got them going 2-4 against said division, 6-6 against the conference, 4-4 at home, 5-4 away, 4-7 against winning teams, 5-1 against losing teams, and 2-7 against playoff teams. For the Dallas Cowboys, last season was kind of a disappointment for them. Dak Prescott got hurt early into the year. He wasn't playing all that well. He was playing better, but he wasn't playing all that well. I think the main thing for the Dallas Cowboys coming into this year, especially after what happened last year, is they needed to revamp their running back room. To their credit, they did go out and sign some interesting names. Javonte Williams is now joining the team. Miles Sanders, another guy that's going to be joining the team, and they drafted Jadon Blue to help that running back room as well. While they're not big names, they do have some type of success in the league. Javonte Williams was the Broncos starting back for a while, but fell off a cliff due to injuries. Miles Sanders also, once he left the Philadelphia Eagles, hasn't had the success that he's wanted since leaving that Eagles O-line. I do like some of the moves that the Dallas Cowboys made in the offseason. None bigger than going out and trading for wide receiver George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big addition to their already, I don't think they're already stacked wide receiver room. CeeDee Lamb, of course, is going to be the number one on this team, but George Pickens has a lot of talent to go with him. And then they have Jalen Tolbert and Jake Ferguson to round out their 2 other positions for their receiving core. They had a couple retirements in the offensive line, but I do like, what they did with it. They drafted Tyler Booker to play their right guard. Connor Beebe could be a very good center. They got some good tackles. While I don't think they're as good as they've had in the past, they definitely have some good tackles to be able to protect Prescott well enough. I think the main question I have for this team going into this year is, how's their running game going to be? Is Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders enough to carry their running game after being putrid last year? Another thing is that is their defense, specifically their run defense, going to hold up? This team was pretty awful against the run last year, and just on defense in general due to all the injuries. Micah Parsons will be healthy this year. Hopefully he can stay healthy the entire year. They went out and got Dante Fowler Jr. from the Commanders, who had a big season for them. They still got Mozzie Smith, the big guy from Michigan, in the middle. They drafted a DT, I think. Kenneth Murray Jr. is now in their new linebacking core with Jack Sanborn playing there as well. They still got Deron Bland. Trayvon Diggs, if he's healthy, he's one of the better corners in this league, especially with creating turnovers. 2 of the best, in terms of creating turnovers, they have 2 of the best cornerbacks in the league. They had a lot of, my main thing is with the running game and the coaching. Is Brian Schottenheimer good enough to lead this team to the promised land with his coaching? Is Matt Eberflus going to be able to fix whatever is wrong with this defense, especially in the run game category? Are you going to get the most out of your cornerback room with Al Harris leaving to go to the Chicago Bears this offseason? Are they going to keep Dak Prescott healthy? And that's the main thing. Is Dak Prescott fully healthy? Is he going to be able to play well consistently throughout the season? Of course, is George Pickens going to keep his head on straight and not become an issue like he did in Pittsburgh? We'll see. So there's a lot of questions with this Dallas Cowboys team that I don't have about the other teams. They start the season with the Eagles at home, away, and I think I have the Eagles winning that game. They don't have many swing games on their schedule. I think the Minnesota Vikings game in Week 15 is a swing game for them. I do think that the Chicago Bears game in Week 3 is a swing game for them. Week 7 against the Commanders at home is a swing game for them. So if this team is performing up to standards that the Dallas Cowboys fans think they can, this could easily be a 10-11 win team. At the same time, Dak Prescott has a history of putting up good numbers and then being very inconsistent. The further the year goes along. We don't know what his health situation is looking like, if he feels comfortable, with his injuries, recovering from his injuries. Their running back room still leaves a lot to be desired. Is Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders going to be that guy to lead that running back room? Is their coaching up to par? So they have a lot of questions going into this season. That kind of factors in for me, giving them that 9-8 record. Again, they could be 10 times better. I don't know. But there's a lot of questions about this Dallas team that have to be answered. And at the same time, I just don't think they're better than the two other teams in their division, in the Commanders and Eagles. So I have them going 9-8 on the season. This could easily be a 10-win team, but there's a lot of questions that may be holding them back. So I have them going 9-8 on the season. At number 2, I have the Washington Commanders finishing second in the division, going 13-4 on the year, 4-2 against the division, 8-4 against the conference, 5-3 at home, 8-1 away, 6-4 against winning teams, and 7-0 against losing teams, 4-4 against playoff teams. For the Washington Commanders, man, last year was nothing short of a miracle for them, coming within a game between them and the Super Bowl, losing in the NFC Championship game, having the success that they did with their rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. They had a miracle of a season last year, and I don't think that's going to change too much this year. I have them going 13-4, and mainly because, they added more pieces to their offense, man. I think their offense got 10 times better. Of course, they have their star quarterback Jaden Daniels. Their running back room is led by Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. Well, not two big names in that running back room. It's kind of a similar situation to when the Bears had Justin Fields. They didn't need a top flight running back when you had a quarterback that can kind of make up for half of that yardage on the ground. Of course, they got Scary Terry McLaurin as their wide receiver 1. They went out and got Deebo Samuel to play their wide receiver 2 and that gadget guy. I hope that Deebo Samuel comes into the season in shape. We saw early clips of him in minicamp, and he looked kind of, a little bit more robust than he did in previous years. But I have no doubt that he'll come in the season in shape. Noah Brown is their wide receiver 3, the guy that caught the Hail Mary on the Chicago Bears, has turned into a very solid receiver with the Washington Commanders under Cliff Kingsbury. Of course, Luke McCaffrey, their second stringer, and Michael Gallup coming into the year. They still got Zach Ertz. They went out and made the trade for Laramie Tunsil. They drafted Josh Connerly Jr. They got Nick Allegretti and Sam Cosmi to play their guards. They got a pretty good center as well. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is the defense for the Washington Commanders. It's an older unit with not so great of a secondary. I do think their pass rush kind of took a step back, letting go of Dante Fowler Jr. While he's not a top premier pass rusher, letting him go to the letting him go to the Cowboys is kind of an L for them. I do like Frankie Louvu. He played well for them last year. They still got Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw is still there. I forgot they let go of Jonathan Allen as well. So I think that pass rush is going to take a little bit of a step back. But to be fair, Washington's defense was not really the strength last year either. The main thing for them is their offense kind of overpowers teams. And while I think that's true, I do think that the Eagles still win the division ahead of them. I got them going 13-4, so that's one more win than they had last year. A couple swing games on the schedule for them as well. I think the Week 6 game against the Bears is a swing game. I think the Detroit game in Week 10 is a swing game for them. And, of course, any of the Eagles games and Cowboys games that they have on the schedule could be a swing game for them. The main thing is just continuing on the success that they had last year, not trying to change too much with Jaden Daniels. If you ask me, I think Jaden Daniels takes a step back a little bit statistically. But since the team is just so good and they put so many pieces around him, I think the team will be able to make up for that. Rarely do guys just come in and have this great of a rookie season and then just continue going better and better. We saw it with CJ Stroud last year. In his standards, last year was a down year compared to his rookie year. But I still think Jaden will be a wonderful quarterback for them. I think he is going to be an MVP caliber type of quarterback. But at the same time, he might take a little bit of a step back, once teams start really game planning for him. They have a year of film on him, but I don't think it really matters when you got that guy there and you have the team that they put around him. I think they're going to be able to win games. Still think they're not better than the Eagles. I still think their run game isn't better, and I definitely think their defense isn't as good as it was last year, letting go of some pieces. So that's going to be a situation to look at, especially with that defense. I like Marshawn Lattimore, but he's a year older. So, and their secondary hasn't been the best, since he's got there and for as long as I can remember. So we'll see. I got them going 13-4. I think they're the clear and obvious team in the division that will finish second. We'll just have to see what happens during the season. But I got them finishing number 2 in the division, 13-4. And to no one's surprise, I have the obvious team finishing number 1 in the NFC East. It has to be the Philadelphia Eagles at 14-3, 4-2 against the division, 10-2 against the conference, 8-0 at home, 6-3 away, 10-2 against winning teams, 4-1 against losing teams, and 8-2 against playoff teams. For the Philadelphia Eagles, our Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, nothing much had to change for them in this offseason. They lost some pieces that kind of hurt. Of course, Milton Williams left in the offseason. Josh Sweat left in the offseason. They let go of Darius Slay as well. So they lost some pieces in the offseason. Every Super Bowl team loses pieces in the offseason. They lost Mekhi Becton as well to another team in the offseason. So, every team loses pieces. Every team, especially when they are a Super Bowl winning team and they can't pay everybody. They got max players on their team already. They're not going to be able to pay everybody. With that being said, I still think the Philadelphia Eagles are the clear-cut team in that division, led by their QB, Jalen Hurts, who has been nothing short of a success, despite what people tell you in the media and how people treat him in conversations as being one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He still has performed well enough to have this team go win a Super Bowl. It doesn't matter about the supporting cast too much. I mean, the supporting cast is just wonderful for him, though. Saquon Barkley, clearly the best running back in the league, had a masterful season last year. The stuff of legends. A.J. Brown, top 5 receiver. Devontae Smith, top 20 receiver. Jahan Dotson, a very good wide receiver 3 if he lives up to the talent. They still got Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson. The only guy that's changed on that offensive line has been Tyler Steen, who's going to be starting at right guard. Even though they lost Josh Sweat, they still have Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Nolan Smith Jr. on that defense. Zach Bond had a huge year last year. They still got Nakobe Dean. They drafted Jahad Campbell. Azeez Ojulari is now signing with that team as well. He can add a little bit of pass rush as well. Quinyon Mitchell, the lockdown rookie cornerback. Reed Blankenship. They got Andrew Makuba in that secondary as well. Cooper DeJean, the only white cornerback in the league, who's just taking people by storm, especially in that Super Bowl when he picked up Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, this Eagles team is pretty freaking good, man. And with Jalen Hurts running the ship, a guy that you don't have to ask to do too much with his passing ability, a guy that adds, a lot of stuff in the run game category, a two-headed monster with him and Saquon Barkley. Couple that with the two-headed monster down there in their receiving core with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Dallas Goedert is looking for a contract this year. I think he will perform up to standards if he stays healthy. They still got the monster Jalen Carter in the middle of that defense. Oh yeah, this team is definitely winning a lot of games. I still think that they're the best team in the division. I think their run game is leagues ahead of people. I think their offensive line is going to be able to protect Jalen Hurts enough to where he can have another 2,000-yard passing season and they still end up winning 14 games on the season. While I like the Commanders in this division, I just don't think they have the defensive capabilities to be able to stop this Eagles team. On top of that, their secondary isn't as good as this Eagles team, nor their offensive line. This Eagles team has just been perfected and has been, constructed perfectly for what Jalen Hurts does and for what this team wants to do and what Nick Sirianni wants to do. I do think that every team suffers from the championship hangover, so I don't think they'll win it again, but they definitely have the talent to be able to get back to the Super Bowl. I like this Eagles team, man. They're one of the more interesting teams I like to watch. I hate that the Bears have to play them this year. It is what it is. I have them going 14-3 on the year. I have them winning the division. I think they're the best team in that division. As long as everybody stays healthy, guys like Saquon, Hurts, and AJ Brown stay healthy, I think they should have no problem winning the division. And that pretty much wraps it up, guys. I thought this was a pretty good division. It racked my brain a little bit on some of these teams. Other than that, I think the top 3 teams were pretty much set in stone now. I think the Eagles are pretty much the best team in, they might even be the best team in the NFC, if I'm being honest. But, I thought this was an obvious pick for the number 1. I do think that while the Commanders and Cowboys have talent on their team, I think the Eagles just have that nice mix, both offense and defense, where they don't have many weaknesses. They have a lot of guys that they have on a team for a while, and I think their offense is pretty much as potent as anybody else in the entire National Football League. But yeah, man, the NFC East is an interesting division. I think that the Commanders will be even better this year. While I do think Jaden Daniels will take a step back statistically, I do think that the team is good enough around him to be able to win games for them. I think their offense is potent as well. While Dallas has a potent offense, they have a lot of questions with their coaching staff and defense. And of course, the Giants are still rebuilding, so they're still trying to find their way in this division. While I think they win some games, I don't think they're going to win many. But yeah, that's the NFC East in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Do you agree or disagree with anything that I've said during this duration of this video? I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps the channel grow. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop one of these NFL standings video. For the next week, I think I will be doing the NFC North next. So, Bears, Packers, Lions, Vikings. So be looking out for that. I'm really excited to do that one because I know that one is going to piss a lot of people off. Be looking out for that. As always, leave your comment in the comment section. Make sure you guys follow me on social media. And, I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'm out. Peace.